It's great to have you, and you've been really very special. You work hard, and you are a very opinionated lady. I have to tell you that, and in my opinion, I like that. all of your support, and you've been terrific, and everybody appreciates you. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to sit with you today. It's a pleasure. You're the best. I love you.
Love you. I was back in August 2023, and Donald Trump and Laura Loomer's relationship has been going strong ever since. He does not seem to be so concerned that she describes herself as an, quote, Islamophobe and pro-white nationalist. In fact, this is how close they are. During the campaign, she traveled on his private plane to the debate and the 9/11 memorial in New York, which is particularly crazy because she publicly claims 9/11 was an inside job. Trump even thought about hiring her for his campaign, but then Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene intervened because she was too toxic. Quote, Laura Loomer is mentally unstable and a documented liar. And yet here we are. Loomer has no official job, but from her private perch, she, for some reason, has great sway over Donald Trump's decisions, maybe because they're so close. She is influencing who gets hired and fired in top national security posts, even top national security advisor Michael Waltz. And her latest move is, I gotta say, one of the most monstrous things I've ever seen. Apparently, she got upset the U.S. is letting a very small number of severely injured Palestinian children from Gaza, kids missing limbs with severe burns, ones in dire need of medical care, into the country for medical care. She called them a national security threat and Islamic invaders. And on Friday night, she says she spoke directly with Secretary of State Marco Rubio to relay those concerns. The very next day, after she said jump, they said how high. The State Department announced it was pausing all visitor visas for individuals from Gaza. On Sunday, Rubio was on TV defending his decision, the one Loomer called him about.
Why would some of these kids, for example, who are coming to hospitals for treatment be a threat?
Well, first of all, it's not just kids. It's a bunch of adults that are accompanying them. There is evidence been presented to us by numerous congressional offices that some of the organizations bragging about and involved in acquiring these visas have strong links to terrorist groups like Hamas.
I should say, obviously, no one has seen any of this evidence that Rubio and Laura Loomer, self-described Islamophobe, are talking about. Andrew Miller serves as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, where he's responsible for Israeli-Palestinian affairs and negotiation in the Biden administration until he resigned in the summer of 2024. He's now a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, and he joins me now. As someone who worked at the State Department on exactly this issue area, first I just want you to respond to Marco Rubio with these claims about these children who are in the need of dire medical care and the parents accompanying them are a threat.
We literally, quite literally, cannot trust this administration with children. That is a damning indictment. These are defenseless kids who bear no responsibility for the atrocious terrorist attacks committed by Hamas. Secretary Rubio's assertion that a bunch of adults are coming is nonsense. At most, you have one or two adults coming with children because they're not allowed to travel without some supervision, which is entirely appropriate. And what's important to understand about how this mechanism has worked is that prior to the United States even vetting these individuals to determine whether they're eligible, we would submit the names to the Israelis, who had the opportunity to run it against their intelligence database. And as you can imagine, Israel's tolerance for any risk is practically zero. So by the time we got these names, we were very confident that they posed virtually no threat. We still ran them through our systems to ensure that they didn't miss anything, but I don't know that there was more we could do to guarantee that these individuals would not pose a threat to Americans. I'm much more confident about these kids not posing any type of danger to the American people than I am about most individuals visiting the United States.
I mean, you worked at the State Department, and again, sometimes the sort of regular order of bureaucracy can feel kind of opaque and remote, but just like to have this individual, a person who was, who calls herself an Islamophobe and a pro-white nationalist, a person who's been banned from social media sites because of her posts, a person who Marjorie Taylor Greene said was too toxic and mentally unstable to be around President Trump, to have this person have this level of control over a United States State Department program, have you ever encountered anything like that?
To my knowledge, Laura Loomer has not been elected to any position or appointed to any position of trust. And for her to have this level of influence is highly unusual. Ultimately, it is President Trump's responsibility because he's apparently acting on it, as is Secretary Rubio. And the fact that they both are is a disgrace, and they should be ashamed of their behavior. This woman is a bigot. She is someone who has a visceral hatred of people who are different. That is about as un-American as anything I can think of. I would encourage Americans who have concerns about Palestinians visiting the United States. I understand their concerns about security, but look at your own background. There was a time when people of Irish descent were treated this way, when people of Italian descent, when people of Cuban descent. Marco Rubio, I don't think, would describe Cubans coming to the United States as potential infiltrators because they may have been associated with communists in Cuba. Of course they were associated with communists in Cuba. It's a communist country. That's essentially what Laura Loomer is suggesting and what Secretary Rubio is regurgitating, that simply by being in Gaza, having the misfortune of being born in this environment, these children are somehow forfeiting their right to medical care, their right to life. That is heinous.
You know, one of the things that struck me, too, there's some Reuters polling on this, too, just in terms of the politics of this. And again, I think this is off the front page enough that they can kind of get away with it. She's been purging personnel she got the national security advisor of the United States fired. I mean, it's like one of the most important positions in the entire U.S. government. But just the polling here is, people have a range of issues on Israel, Gaza, the war, all of that. But on should more be done? Should the U.S. help people who are facing starvation in Gaza? You have all adults at 65%, Republicans at 55%, Democrats at 83%, others 61%. Kids desperately in need of medical care. This does strike me as a place in a very contested public opinion terrain where there really is broad consensus.
America is at its very best when we're good. We're not always good. We've committed some terrible mistakes in the past, as have all countries, but America has been the best for the American people and for the world when we've been good. And this administration is so obsessed with greatness that they've either forgotten or forsaken any effort to be good. They've embraced malice. They've embraced causing harm. They almost revel in it. There's something fundamentally mean-spirited about their approach, not only to these poor Palestinian children, but to their opponents, regardless of their religion, their race, their political affiliation. You see, they treat Republicans who run afoul of them the same way. They ultimately do not have respect for other human beings. They're disposable and are tools to be used to advance their personal agendas. And that's unacceptable. I understand Americans want entertainment. I understand they like a good show, but this is not a sitcom. This is the real world. Lives are on the line. This is about our country's future. We can't afford to let it slip away, and that's what's happening.
Andrew Miller, thank you so much for your time tonight, sir. Appreciate it.